There's not one medication that will cure it all. There's no such thing as cure, but there is such thing as healthy body that actually helps cure disease and stuff like that. So, and then the basic science of it all is that if you exercise, if you walk 30 minutes a day, if you eat healthy, somewhat healthy, those things are the basic things in life that can actually help cure the body. So you don't have to take pills. So you don't have to always have pain and aches and pains every single day. If you think about those things, it doesn't take a doctor to tell you.
Why use? Why use? Tune in and vibe the drive. Why use? Why use? Tune in and vibe the drive. Why use? Why use? Tune in and vibe the drive. Why use? Why use? Tune in and vibe the drive.
Welcome to Why Oos, where we dive into stories that inspire, educate, and highlight unique journeys. Today, we're thrilled to have a special guest with us, a man whose path in life has led him to not just heal, but empower others through chiropractic care. He is one of the few Samoan chiropractors out there, and his story is one of passion, dedication, and breaking barriers. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ofisa to the podcast.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much for reaching out, and I really do appreciate this opportunity. I have never told my story before. I honestly can say, this is the first time I've ever just said all that out loud.
Yeah.
I'm not a really I'm not really an out person. I just kind of keep to myself, and
Right.
so I'm trying out new things this year. So I really appreciate this opportunity.
Quick questions. This is going to be like rapid fire so people get to know you a little bit more. What's one thing people would be surprised to know about you?
Oh man, I'm kind of a little bit of a nerd, I guess. I don't look like one. I've been told this before. You don't look like one, but you are one. Maybe.
Okay. Do you have a favorite Samoan dish you think everyone should try?
Palusami.
Give me a little.
Palusami.
Educate them about the balsami, please.
Hey, coconut milk. Pretty simple, but it's the best out there. Taro leaves and coconut milk, salt and pepper, onions in there. Yeah, that's it.
Yes. You heard him. Sami. Last question, rapid fire, bro. What's the best piece of advice you've received and who gave it to you?
Oh man. I got to think about this one a little bit.
Okay.
I would say my mom. I got to tell a little bit of story about that because
Please do.
so when I was young, I used to say, when I grow up, I'm going to marry a white girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
And every time I say that, she would laugh at me, and she didn't know what I meant by that. But I always had this dream that I was gonna marry somebody from the States. Didn't know who, didn't know how I was gonna get to the States, but I had this dream. And so before I left on my mission, my mom said, that dream that you always tell me. I said yes. It's like, go get it. And while you're there, do more. And I didn't really understand it at the time what she meant, do more. But I look back at my life now and I look at what I have. That's what she meant. And actually, it's crazy that you asked me this question because on my way home yesterday, I was driving, after work, and she called me and she said, "Hey, how are you?" And like, I'm doing great. And she just broke down and cried. And she said, I was just sitting here just thinking about your life and how hard it was, for you, growing up because I was always the one that did the fouls, at home. And she said, I just know that, your life was meant to be this way because you did more. And God bless you because you were willing to do more. And that's
Wow.
when it all came together for me. I'm like, I didn't really knew she meant to do more. When you're
Mm-hmm.
there, do more. And that was basically what it came kind of full circle for me. I'm like, okay, now I know what she meant by doing more. So,
Wow.
and I think that's what we need to all do, Just don't do the bare minimum of things that we do, but just look beyond those barriers and do a little bit more. Whether that's for yourself, for somebody else, just do more. And if I could, I'll share this quote. Is my favorite quote. I share this quote with my daughter. She's a dancer and she's a phenomenal dancer. So, I'm I'm a little biased, but she's a phenomenal dancer, and we share this quote together, and it says, "The best views comes after the hardest climbs. The best view comes after the hardest climb."
Mm.
And I think we need to endure that climb to see the best view. And I think some people quit halfway before they see it. And I think if we do a little bit more each time, we can see that.
Wow, there you have it, guys. Do more and don't quit. Don't quit in the middle of it. Can you tell us a little about your background and how you ended up in chiropractic care?
Absolutely. So it all started in a small island in the South Pacific. I was born in Whangaloa in Western Samoa, and a little bit after that, we moved to American Samoa, where we lived there, and I was raised there basically most of my life. I came on an LDS mission. I served here for 2 years in Pocatello. That was actually my first time ever to come to the United States. Didn't know a whole lot of English, but I just came here and served my church for 2 years, and decided this was the place to come back to, and I was able to meet my wife here and build a family.
Nice. So, where are you located right now?
I'm in Pocatello, Idaho.
Okay, nice. So, was there a specific moment or event that inspired you to pursue this path?
Growing up in the islands, we didn't have all the resources. As an athlete growing up, we didn't really have all the resources and the health care that we needed, to keep us going. So I always had a passion in healthcare and always wanted to pursue healthcare when I came to the States. And, as a Samoan kid, growing up on the islands, you always want opportunities. And so I was hoping for that opportunity to come, and coming on a mission for my church allowed me that opportunity and gave me more opportunities to pursue a career that I have now.
So, are there specific traditional Samoan values or philosophies that resonate with the work you do?
Absolutely. I mean, 100%. As we know, the culture is very strong in natural healing. And, growing up, nobody was going to the hospital and nobody could afford going to the hospital. My family in particular, we're a family of 11 kids. And so, money was not was not really a thing in our household. And so a lot of the pains and aches and pains that we grew up with was all done by a natural healer in the village. And that kind of became a passion of mine, just kind of watching and learning, in the background, as these guys come over and they do and perform these, their healing rituals. I just, as a kid, I was just kind of secretly just kind of learning and and hoping that one day when I get an opportunity to pursue a career in healthcare, that I'll be able to take all that and use it.
Nice. So, being in a profession that's not traditionally associated, as you mentioned, growing up in Samoa, now with the Samoan community, what challenges have you faced along the way?
As far as challenges, I mean, I think the biggest challenge for me was first learning the culture here. Coming from the Samoan culture, that was something that I was more familiar with. Coming to the American culture, my first time ever in the United States, not able to speak the language very well, and just kind of navigate myself through, the ups and downs and the challenges of being in a new world, basically. So those were the biggest challenges I faced. But then, when I got into healthcare, unfortunately, I didn't really see a whole lot of our people there in where I was and stuff. And as a matter of fact, I was the only Samoan in my class, and I was the only Samoan in the school. I saw some Hawaiians there, two Hawaiians there, but then again, just not having that interaction with our people, knowing that this profession can actually benefit, our people and benefit a lot of people. And we are just built as natural healers, Polynesian people. and just yearning for that, for our people to just kind of, hey, this is for us. This is where, but that wasn't there for me. So it was kind of a lonely journey at times. Not be able to share, some of those struggles and some of those challenges, with somebody that grew up on the island and having to try and adapt to the culture here. That was very challenging for me.
And where did you go to school? Was it there where you're at right now, or?
I did my undergrads in Pocatello here. Uh, I did my bachelor's in exercise science, and then I went to Western States in Oregon, and that's where I did my master's in sports medicine, and I did a doctorate in chiropractic.
Also, you were up here in the Northwest, in Portland. I mean, yeah, Portland. How was that? How was that weather? Was, being coming from the Pacific and then, going there? How did you adapt to that? Did you enjoy it with all four seasons?
Yes, it was quite nice, and it was green, reminded me of the island. It,
Right.
eventually it got to me because it was always so cold and wet. And
I know some people claim, it could be like very lonely out in the Pacific. The weather makes it somewhat depressing or whatnot. But I live in the Northwest. I live in Washington State. So, you
yeah,
know, 22 years, but I grew up in San Francisco. That's why your hat caught my attention when I saw
yeah,
your. I was like, I gotta see about this doctor. When your stuff started coming across, I was like, wow, we have a chiropractor out there. Showing this stuff on TikTok.
just barely starting. So my daughter has kind of convinced me to do it. So
I'm telling you, that's the place to go to basically expose yourself and get a lot of advertisement. And I see there's a growing following coming on TikTok for you. I'm
yeah,
telling you, being a chiropractor is huge within, especially the Polynesian or Samoan community. So I'm sure there's more out there, but like you said,
yeah.
um, being school for it, it wasn't too many Pacific Islanders doing
No,
chiropractic. Yeah.
there's one other chiropractor. He's out in New York, and maybe I can pass that information up to you. He's actually Dr. Dylan. He's a Samoan as well.
Okay.
He's known to be the dance chiropractor on Instagram. So I'll forward that information to you as well. So
I appreciate that.
Want to see your designs come to life? Printful makes it easy. They launched their own merch line. And you can too. Printful is your one-stop shop. Use simple design tools to bring your vision to life. No need for inventory or upfront costs. Just create, and we'll handle the rest. Watch your designs get printed and shipped. From tees to totes, we've got you covered. Printful manages everything, so you can focus on growing your brand. Imagine your own custom merch in the hands of your fans. It's possible with Printful. Ready to start? Sign up, launch your journey today.
Can you share a story where chiropractic care made a significant impact on someone's life, either through recovery or positive change?
oh man, there's so many. There's so many stories. I mean, there's so many that comes in every single day. I mean, just 2 days ago, and I actually did a video on this young mother has chronic pain in her lower back and her tailbone. Was unable to sit. It's really hard for her to get comfortable, or whether she's laying down or sitting up or standing or walking. I mean, every position was really uncomfortable for her to be in, and she sent out a message, on Facebook, basically crying for help. And as a chiropractor, you're always jumping on those things because it's a lot of what we deal with is musculoskeletal issues, and that falls right into the scope of my practice. And so I reached out to her, and we got together and start treating her. And just 2 nights ago, actually last night she came back to the office and she was in tears. I thought maybe she was in a lot of pain after her first treatment,
Right,
but she came in and she's like, look at me. She sat down for the first time in a long time for over 10 minutes without having to get up and walk around. And in tears, she said, 10 minutes feels like forever, sitting
wow,
there. And that, she said, just, being able to sit for 10 minutes and not feel like, she's dying, just made her whole, changed her whole life,
right,
basically. She's been to all sorts of providers, and she's made her rounds with medications and shots. She even went and talked to a surgeon. That was her last resort, but I reached out to her before that, and we're making progress with her. But stories like that and many other stories that we've seen from kids are constipated to ear infections. We see a lot, in our clinic and stuff like that. And just watching those parents, watching those smiles in the faces and these kids coming around, just like Dr. O. They call me Dr. O, Dr. Slime,
Oh,
Dr. Mufasa.
Mufasa.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
yeah.
Dr.
So
O.
I just, it just makes my day. It makes what I do every single day, worth it, and that's what I wake up to is that immediate satisfaction that I get from seeing a smile on somebody's face, walking out the door when they actually came in the door with, some almost hopeless at times.
Well, that's a great story right there you're sharing because a lot of people think that they only come to see, which I want to touch a little bit and just ask you because you're the professional here. Some people think that they only go need to go see a chiropractor because they have back pains or lower back pain. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know everything connects. So can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of misconception out there, and there's a lot of chiropractors not trained in, certain things. Like I'm also a certified acupuncturist and a clinical nutritionist as well. I've gone to school for quite some time. Um, so, I mean, a lot of those chiropractors, are there are treating the spine specifically, and they're staying
Okay.
within the scope of what they actually were trained in. And so that doesn't necessarily mean that that's all they train, but that's what we're known for. But chiropractors can treat basically almost anything and some things indirectly, and directly you're talking about headaches, you're talking about shoulder pain, you're talking about back pain, knee pain, ankle pain, all those musculoskeletal conditions. In turn, when you're manipulating the spine, you're indirectly affecting the nervous system to where it stimulates every organ of your body, which can also help, regulate whatever is necessary for the body to heal.
You mentioned children earlier, and a lot of people really don't. I'm not speaking for everyone, but some are saying that it's not safe to bring your child to a chiropractor. Can you speak a little bit more on that? Because I've seen some good stuff happening to children, and you mentioned the digestive when they're constipating, and it helps a lot. So can you just touch more a bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, again, like I think there's a lot of the issue is I feel like there's a lot of uneducated, people out there making guess on what chiropractors can and cannot do,
Yes.
And so with kids, I mean, we see kids every single day. We see pregnant
Wow.
mothers, when somebody, this is a common question I get in my clinic is when people come in and they're asking, "Hey, how young can you see, a patient?" I'm
Huh?
like, well, newborns, nearly dead. We can see them all. So, but
That's
with
good.
kids, kids, the one thing about kids, as we know, they don't complain a lot. They're durable. And a lot of times, they fall off the chair. They're jumping around. They're running around. So when their hips are slipped or when their bones and joints are actually misaligned, it takes a lot for a kid to start complaining.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it's important for parents to take their kids in to check their spine because I've seen so many kids and parents come in and the kid would have like almost a quarter inch to a three-quarter inch discrepancy on their legs or their hips that the parents didn't really see. And a lot of these things can carry on without even the parents don't even know, to take their kids in. This can carry on in their life
Mm-hmm.
and that could make a big difference in their health later. And so it's better to catch it now than actually wait for it later and then wondering why what happened. Well, remember when you fell off the mango tree?
That's why back home in Samoa, we have our elders who do those kind of fulfill, and one of them is like, and then also they get yeah, well, I'm not gonna fulfill. They start fulfilling, massaging. They're like, oh, dislocated. Oh, something's broken. I used to always trip about that.
Oh yeah, I attribute a lot of my treatments to what I've seen and growing up, and just kind of watching some of those guys, and I really attribute a lot of my a lot of those skills, to those guys. I mean, if I could see them again, I would just tell them like, hey, thank you. I appreciate, the help, because little do they know, like, all those things I've taken with me and I'm utilizing it as I need it. But in all reality, a good doctor will always find a way to actually help somebody. And if they don't know, they don't know.
Yeah. You just don't know.
You just don't know.
Because I've seen some of your videos, doctor, and I was like, man, it looked like he's giving like a full massage for full. And I was like, that's the kind of chiropractor, I would love to see out here in Washington. It's like, it's, you're giving the full treatment instead of just going in and just cracking for like 5 minutes or less than 5 minutes, and your adjustment's done. And then you just
Yes,
go, they say, okay, just go over there and lift weights or do your little stretching and stuff. But a lot of
absolutely.
chiropractors are also coming out the way you're coming out. I see that. You see one of that Asian guy, I don't know, I forgot his name, but he be doing some miraculous stuff out there too. Um, but when I saw you working on, I think it was the one of the males, and you were just really digging into, like, I was like, dang, he going full blown, for full motion there.
That's right. That's right. And there's something to it, and those deep muscles that affect us all the time. I truly believe in holistic care, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what coach is that I'm a sports medicine specialist as well. So I fully believe if you don't get, deep enough to release those knots and those tight muscles, you can adjust the spine all you want, but those muscles will pull them out, as soon as they walk out the door. And so that's why my approach is the way it is that I try to treat, every part of the system, not only the muscular system, but a skeletal system, which also affect the nervous system. So we're trying to hit those three, those systems every time, I see a patient.
Nice. Because I know, there's a lot of fulfills out there. I like to talk about this because it coincides with, our background.
Absolutely.
My grandmother was a fulfill, and she passed that on down to my mother and passed that on to me. Now everybody's gonna know I fulfill the WOWO, but I don't even offer that, So that's why when I watch you fulfill and massage, for those of you when I say fulfill, um, I mean, you're doing an amazing job, and I love the fact that you're really taking care of the patients, and so yeah, learning from our elders and just watching them, because I used to watch my mom too when we were living in San Francisco. I used to wonder like why all these people keep coming over, especially the athletes. And then
Yeah.
the elders people who haven't been walking around for a little bit. It's just all the wobble just been, the muscles just been so tight, and a lot of tension. My mother would make me sit there and watch her do all the fulfills and teach me as she's fulfilling. And I'm in like middle school all the way to high school. At first, I was getting upset, but I am very glad and blessed that I was able to sit down and watch. But for you to take it a step further, taking everything from back home and
Yeah.
and going get educated, get the license and everything, jack of all trades, brother. I got to give you your your flowers for that one. For our listeners out there who may not be familiar, what exactly is chiropractor care and how does it contribute to overall health and wellness? I mean, you hear it right here from our brother. I mean, he does everything and it's important. Some people don't even look at a chiropractor care. What are your advice, for everyone that's listening?
I think they're missing out,
Hmm.
and not all chiropractors are created equally, and I
Yeah.
totally understand that, and you got to find the one that fits your goals, as a patient, and there's a lot of chiropractors out there practicing different things, some of them
Hmm.
practice nutrition. I used to do that. I used to do, IV therapy at my clinic and all that stuff, and so, but my niche is literally working, as a sports doctor, trying to get the muscles and the spine healthy. And so I say, if you're looking for, the best chiropractor, look for the one that actually fits your personality and who you are, because not everybody's going to fit, what you're actually looking for. And chiropractors are not just, they're not just cracking backs. There is a science behind it.
Hmm.
Um, and I think the misconception is, when you're cracking joints, that sound that you're actually hearing is actually bones cracking, but it's not. It's basically pressure being released from the joints, the pressure that is put on the joint, and it's a cavitation coming from the fluid that is built up around the joint, not so much of the bones cracking together. So that's a big misconception there. So and it's safe. It is safe if it's done by a trained chiropractor. It's safe. There's a specific way to do an adjustment instead of just like jumping on somebody or just trying to lift somebody up, cracking them. There is a specific way that we use it. We call it HVLA.
Uh-huh.
It's a it's a high velocity, low amplitude thrust. You have to specifically use that, or else you will not get a cavitation, or not get a crack per se, and that pressure will not be released. It's important to to seek out the best chiropractor that you can that fits your personal goals, your health goals, or else you don't be disappointed just walking into any other chiropractic. Just do your research,
Hmm.
see what kind of background you want to see from your chiropractor. Just like any other doctors, you can't just walk in a surgeon's office. Walking in a hand surgeon office trying to get a spine surgery.
Yeah.
you got you got to do your research.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big advocate. I'm a big advocate for chiropractor because, like, for example, my husband, he looked at me crazy when, he had these headaches for a long time, and he just didn't know. We tried everything, and then I remember having just a quick conversation with one of my coworkers, and she talked about she went and got, went to see a chiropractor to help with her headache. I was like, at the time, I was ignorant about it. I was like, "What do you mean help with your headache?" And then she explained some of the stuff you were saying about the pressure and all that stuff. I said, "Oh, so that stayed in the back of my mind." Then, lo and behold, my husband gets headaches that's been lasting forever. And we passed out, you know what? Let's just go stop by a chiropractor. Maybe you need, he's like, we don't need to go there. I was like, you know what? Just trust me. Let's just go. Stop your complaining. You got headaches. Let's just try anything right now. So we walked in, he got adjusted, and we told the chiropractor what was happening. And he knew exactly where to go, did his thing. And he came out and he was like, oh my gosh. I was like, what? And he won't even admit you were right, but I said, yeah, I know your headache's gone. So from then on, he's a true believer, of what seeing a chiropractor can do for your overall health.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's good.
I know, so that's why I'm a big fan of you guys. But
Thank
okay, yeah, thank you for everything you do. So back to our Samoan culture is known for its strong family ties and a deep sense of community. How do these values shape the way you connect with your patients? And what does family mean to you in your practice?
everything. Family, everything. I treat everybody that walks in my clinic just like if I was treating my own wife and my kids, my mom, my dad. Everybody's greeted with a smile. As our people are. We greet everybody with a smile, and we make them comfortable. Everything that I do, I want to reflect who I am as a Polynesian, and that's what I pride myself for that because a lot of the people will come in and feel that. They say it's there's something about you that is just different. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you're always smiling. It just seems like you don't have a bad day. And that's what you do. As a provider, you're there to ensure that these people that are coming in because they're in a lot of pain, the last thing they want to see is you frowning and you having a bad day, because they already have a bad day.
Yes, yes.
So it's important for me as a doctor, as a provider, to make sure that my patients, the first thing they see, like, hey, he looks like this guy might be able to help you. It might not, but it might, too, as well. And just that smile, most of the time, patients will feel comfortable, and when they feel comfortable, my mission when I was serving a mission, the mission mother that we had, which would always say like a smile will
Mm-hmm.
cure all sadness, and so even pain, and I kept that, and I use that, every day basically because I'm in that clinic, 5 days a week, and so I use that smile for that reason, and I hope that it comes across and help people, and that's most of the time that's what I get a compliment on is, you're always smile, man. Like, what's going on? What's good? you know? So Yeah, you asked me about family. I mean,
Yes.
it's huge. Like I said, I come from a very big family. As you know, the Polynesian culture is always about family. My
Mm-hmm.
parents are here. Everything I do, I try to make sure that, my parents are proud of who I am and what I do. And so I always try to make sure that every person that comes in there, I treat with respect, and I treat with care and the utmost respect and utmost care that I can actually give to anyone. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not helping every single patient that are coming in,
Okay.
but but I can tell you this: every single patient gets 110% of my attention and 110% of my care, and they always come back. They always come back because they feel that care from me.
They feel the love that you're putting into them, and people come and like you said, they see the smile, they feel welcome, and I'm sure your office space is full of welcome too. It's inviting.
Absolutely. My wife did a good job decorating that.
Hey, behind a good man is a great wife, I'm telling you.
That's right. 100% agree with that.
So when it comes to the our community, chiropractic care isn't a widespread in many Pacific Islander communities. What do you think needs to happen to raise awareness and understanding about chiropractic care in these communities?
I think a lot of our people need to look into this.
Okay.
I really need, and I think a lot of people need to research what chiropractic is. And once they understand that chiropractic align with our culture, I think more of our people will go into it. And don't be scared of the education. The education is hard. That, as they say, if it was easy, everybody would do it. But education is very, very important. And I think our people, especially our people,
Mm-hmm.
uh, we're not we're not lazy people. We're inventors, we're creators. There's a lot of brilliant minds out there.
Mm-hmm.
I fear that there is a holdback because there is a stigma that we just need to break through. And I have to break through that too when I actually came. Because I was the only Samoan in my undergrads. In all the chemistry classes I took, and all the anatomy of phys classes I took, the physics classes I took. I was the only one in there, and I had those doubts in my mind. I'm like, what is this guy doing here in the midst of all these white people? First of all, I don't speak good English, and second, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. But that's what I was telling myself those first couple years until I realized that, everybody else are on the same page. Everybody else is on the same level. We're all on the same level because we're all in the same class.
Mm-hmm.
And are just here for the same reason. And I think we need to break that stigma that we cannot, break those barriers. We need to break those barriers. And once we break down those walls and we realize what we're capable of, and our potential is endless. We just need to reach out to our younger generation, and we need to get our parents, our grandparents, and the new parents that are coming up to see that there's more to healthcare than just
Yep.
popping, you know and we need to get back to our old ways of, like, when something hurts, don't take ibuprofen.
Yeah.
Hey, go full, get your massage going. Have your mom stand on those ankles of yours and try to massage. Those are the things that we grew up in. It hurts
Mm-hmm.
like a, but
It
it
works.
yeah.
It works. You're not putting, a lot of poison in your body.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And that's what I feel like the message is, to our younger generations that are coming up is, hey, anything is possible. You just need to want it more than the next guy.
Yeah. I know, and you're saying that you sit there in the class thinking that, man, why am I here? Am I really worthy of this? And it's all in your mind, it's a mindset, but it's that choice you just gotta decide and just keep pushing forward.
Absolutely.
it, it's so that this message I'm getting from you and to our listeners out there, I mean, you can do anything you put your mind to it, but it does get lonely out there when you start letting your mind take over.
The fear of failure, and I had those, and I think that's what it really kind of drove me to continue on, and And I failed many times. I really did. I failed many classes when I started off. I was good at math, but I wasn't good at anything else, And so, I was failing some of those science classes at first. But that's because I had a really, negative mindset at the time. I just told myself, I can't do this. I can't compete with, these people. Like, why am I here? Like, this is not what I'm
Yeah.
supposed to do. I was doing construction at the time too. I was working construction and going to school at the same time. And so, that was competing against my mind too. I'm like, I'm better at construction. That's what I do. I'm better
Mm,
at labor. I'm strong. I can do all that. That's easy, you know. But then, something was pushing me to continue, and that was changing that status quo, and I wanted something different. I wanted something more that was different from what I already knew, you know, and that strength, that mental strength is what I was reaching for that I wasn't getting at the time. And I kept pushing it away because I was so conflicted, and I was again struggling with the language at the time. So there was a lot of things going on at the same time. Again, I think if we could get over the fear of like, we don't belong, but just putting in front of us that we belong anywhere, I think that's what's gonna, help us.
yeah, we all have to understand that we do have a seat at the table. We just got to go and get it,
Yeah. Yes. hundred
And
percent.
100% because it's out there. We just got, oh my gosh, I keep trying to, just emphasize on the fact that, it don't matter your background, it don't matter where you come from. You just got to go and get it and just know that you're worthy, right? Like, I mean, I went to college in Hawaii, but my goodness, I was just like, oh, I don't want to be here, but because my background is all criminal justice, so that's why I do it behind, on this. But it's not. It's the like you said, the fear of failing, and what people have to understand is fail forward. Like John C. Maxwell quotes in it, he has a book, Failing Forward. You mess up, you fail. Like we fail. I failed classes too, my freshman year in college. But I had to get back up, dust it off. Like, you know what? You can do it. Go take your classes all over again. Start all over. It's not
Right.
the end of the world. You got your health.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So kudos to you for keep going and not selling to yourself that construction it is. You're just gonna settle for to be in that comfort zone because you knew you were good at it and you were young at the time and at that whatever. I'm not saying you hella old, but
I am old.
I'm just saying, at the time it's like, oh, I can do this construction work. I'll lay do whatever. But
Right.
you fought through it, and thank you for
I,
sharing that part. And then that leads me to the next segment of it is the power of education. What role do you think education plays in helping people understand the benefits of chiropractor care?
everything. Everything I do. If you don't have the knowledge, if you don't have the education, it'll be hard to convince people that what you do will help them. When you have the education, like I said, I've been going to school for quite some time, and I will never stop. I'm a student, and I will always be, and I will die a student. I tell my wife that. My hobbies have become literally going to school. My wife told me to change my hobby just to golfing or something because
Mm-hmm.
schooling is too expensive. But I'm always looking for to feel to add to my tool bag.
Yes.
Not every patient that walks in is going to ask for the same thing, or even if they're presenting, similar issues, doesn't necessarily mean that the underlying condition is the same treatment. Is going to be healed by the same treatment. And so I'm always digging into and researching like what's the next best treatment for this
Mm-hmm.
condition if chiropractic adjustment, nutrition, and acupuncture don't work.
Right.
So I continue to search out what other options out there. I need three more, just in case these other three don't work. And so education is everything. I'm gearing up to get my doctorate in naturopathic, so I can dive into that a little bit more, and again bring that into my tool bag to actually help patients that are basically not, for me, not able to help, with chiropractic care. Chiropractic care is awesome, but it's just like anything else. it can only work for some and not work for others. And
Right.
so you just, again, find out, what else I can do, So education is everything. If you don't have education, you lose respect from your patients and
Hmm.
from your colleagues. I work very closely with all the medical providers here. I'm good friends with most of them here in my community.
Okay.
Uh, it's good to actually be associated with those guys and be able to carry a conversation and knowing that I got something to offer too as well. Like I know, a lot of things about the body. So
Yes. I mean, you're just building your tool belt like you were talking about, and thank you. That's very informative. So, being a student at all times, stay ready, right? Be ready and stay ready when you have those conversations, when you get yourself into those areas, and it's all about networking. And
absolutely.
you just got to stay in those conversations. So I know you mentioned some misconceptions earlier, but are there any other misconceptions you haven't mentioned that you would like to clear up?
I mean, I think the biggest one
Give
out
it to
there,
us, doctor. Give it to
yeah,
us.
I think the biggest one out there is that chiropractors are not real doctors, right? I think that's probably the biggest, right?
Huh?
And I think that's, again, it probably comes from a place of lack of education. Some of those, those misconceptions. I think when doctors doesn't necessarily mean, everything. It's just any other doctor. It just means teacher. If you actually dig into it a little bit more, doctor means teacher. You're an expert. You're a teacher of that profession. So that conversation with doctors not being real doctors, I think if you look at the education behind chiropractors is a lot different now than it was 20, 30, 50 years ago. you
Mm-hmm.
know and if you look at it, it's very similar to medical doctors now. We take a lot of physics, we take a lot of chemistries, we take a lot of cell biology. I mean, all the sciences that they're taking in as a family doctor, we take as chiropractors. So, but if you really want to know if chiropractors are real doctors, then that's where you want to go and look. Look at the education. It's different now.
Yeah.
You know, and if you think it's easy, you can go try it yourself and see.
Try it
And
out and just let us know.
yeah, and I have a lot of respect for my medical colleagues. Nothing, against any of.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but I truly believe that we have a place. We have a place in healthcare, and everybody does have a place in healthcare. Now there's not one medication that will cure it all. There's no such thing as cure. Is there? But there is such thing as healthy body that actually helps cure, you know, disease and stuff like that. So, and then the basic science of it all is that if you exercise, if you walk 30 minutes a day, if you eat healthy, somewhat healthy, those things are the basic things in life that can actually help cure the body. So you don't have to take pills. So you don't have to always have pain and aches and pains every single day. If you think about those things, it doesn't take a doctor to tell you, to
Right.
to heal your body. So again, it's not necessarily if you're a real doctor or if you're a fake doctor, if you're a quack or what. It's what it comes down to: who's helping you the most.
Mm-hmm.
Is the doctor helping you and reminding you what you should do, or is it your medical doctor? And that's how you should take it. The provider that helps you the most, you make your own assumption on those, but the provider that helps you the most should be the ones that you pay your respect to.
Now, for anyone listening who's inspired by your story you're sharing today and might be considering a career in chiropractor care, what advice would you offer?
Go for it. It's been a very satisfying career for me. I've been doing it for over coming up 12 years now. We need more Polynesian in this profession. We're all natural healers. Believe it or not, almost anybody out there can do what I do. But what you have to do is make sure that you have the knowledge, and, you have the education behind you, to solidify your place and to put that stamp, on who you are. Because in the world we live in now, if that stamp is not there, it means nothing.
Right.
But those that are thinking of going to chiropractic school, go for it. Don't be afraid to fail. You know, We are made for this profession. And believe it or not, and I hope in the future, and I think is coming, that more chiropractors will take over healthcare because as if anything we learned, in the last 4 years of COVID, medication doesn't really do much, when disaster happens, and chiropractors were called to the scene to actually help those with musculoskeletal conditions and stuff like that. And we had to come, and help with those, with the daily aches and pains. So if there's more of us Polynesians out there, I swear, and I promise you, if you're out there and if you're questioning or if you're thinking about going to chiropractic school, I encourage you to go because you will make a difference in your community and in your family's life too as well.
So we had Dr. Tui here also. She's into the diabetic field, with the weight loss, and she's out of here in Olympia. And she was one of our first doctors we had on here. So we have a session, a part where people who have questions about their health, they can ask the Wai'us, and then we ask her, then we just give them the answers. Now for the chiropractor, for those who are interested to pursue, would it be okay for the listeners to reach out to Wai'us and, we can come ask the questions about pursuing the career? If they have like basic questions, can they,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
awesome. Awesome. Thank you. So what do you wish you had? This is like beginning of your journey. What do you wish you had known when you started your journey?
I wish I'd known that there was going to be a lot of debt going into it. Well, I think the biggest thing for me, you're asking like if I was like before I went, right?
Yes.
I wish there was somebody to tell me, to go into this profession because I found this by accident.
Wow.
I was applying to go to medical school and I did apply. And, my wife didn't want to move to Maine where the medical school was. And so chiropractic kind of fell in my lap because I was actually going to pursue physical therapy at that point. And that's where I found out about chiropractic. So I wish there was somebody, that helped me, encouraged me, and pushed me that direction so I didn't have to waste a lot of, extra years of, taking classes and not just pursue this one career. And so I didn't know anything about chiropractic until then. And so that's what I wish, I had at the beginning. And then, I would save a lot of money and focus on just, this career path. But
Yeah.
I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't really have anybody to point me this direction. I kind of found it by accident. So I hope, I can give my insight and, if anybody that is questioning or hoping to get into chiropractic school, I hope I can direct you, and give you some pointers so you can save yourself a lot of time going to school because there is a lot of ways you can get into chiropractic school faster now than when I started. I took the long path because I was going to go to medical school, but I ended up taking this path instead. So,
Wow, that's great insight. People, if please use this as a resource. We're giving you resources, and we always talk about it's all about that network, and this is part of the network for the listeners out there. So who just hit us up. What are your goals for the future, both personally and professionally?
so professionally, I would go with professionally first because
Yes.
uh, I'm going to be pursuing to get my doctorate in naturopathic. And my hope is to integrate that into my practice because, like you said earlier, we're not young anymore. So chiropractic can be really hard for your body and stuff like that too as well. So I'm trying to, implement. I want to go down that route so I can implement, more naturopathic clinical stuff, into my clinic. So it helps me kind of break up, what I do as a chiropractor. So that's my professional goals and hopefully, my son goes into medical school. He's talking about going to medical school, and so when he comes back, we'll hopefully kind of expand the clinic and have him in the clinic as well. So we'll have both chiropractic and medical all together. I don't think I've ever mentioned this, but I do have a physical therapy clinic as well. I own one here in town, and
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, so we're already having chiropractic and physical therapy, and then hopefully we'll add a medical in the future. What was the other one? Personal goals?
Yes.
My personal goals, well, stay healthy. Practice what I preach. I always preach health and trying to teach my patients what they need to do to stay away from medications and stay away from being sick, from the hospital. And so my personal goal is basically just kind of keep myself healthy so I can, watch my kids grow up, and enjoy this life. I love what brings me the most happiness is it's just watching my kids being happy and watching my wife being an amazing woman that she is. I mean, credit to my wife. I'm going to have to take a little bit of time and just thank my wife. And she was amazing through this journey, just sticking with me. This poor Polynesian kid came straight from didn't have a home. I didn't have a home when I came here. I actually only had a backpack on me. I dated my wife at the time. Her family was so kind to actually pull out their what do you call it, mobile home.
Wow.
Out of respect to the family, I didn't want to. They wanted me to, they were invited me to the house to sleep, but I told them, out of respect, I come from a culture of respect, so I'm not going to come sleep in the house. So they pull out their mobile home, so I slept there, when I was dating her,
Oh,
and so and she stuck with me for almost 20 years. We've been married, and she was by my side, ups and downs, the struggles, the sacrifices with the kids when I was in school. I have 4 kids, and so she took care of all the hard stuff. My part was easy, her part was hard, and so, but she didn't give up. She pushed me. She taught me English. She helped me say things the right way. and and got me through some of those hard classes, because it was tough. It was tough not knowing the language and be in a new world and not really know which direction you're going. And so kudos to my wife, credits to her for, being by my side all these years. And so if anything, I hope to continue to make her proud and make my kids proud and make my parents even more proud of me. And that would be my personal goals.
you are very blessed. Thank you so much for sharing that. And your wife is a great teacher.
Thank you.
Look at your English is very good. So I
Thank
wouldn't
you.
even know if you never said that you came here, not knowing how to speak English. But let me just say, it's superb. It looks good. So
Thank
tell
you.
your wife she's the best teacher out there. Who she
Okay,
might
I'll
she
let her know.
Thanks for tuning into the YOOS podcast episode. Don't forget to check out our website at www.yoos.com. It's because of you that we can keep this going. Thank you in advance. See you on the next one.
Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your incredible story, Dr. Ofisa.
Thank you
It's
so much.
it's truly inspiring to hear how you blended your cultural roots with your professional journey, and we know our listeners will walk away with a new perspective on chiropractic care. Now, if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an inspired conversation like this one today. Also, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment or share this episode with someone who might benefit from it. Stay tuned for more stories that uplift, educate, and inspire. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other and do more. I'm Ely,
Dr. Ofisa,
and we're out.
thank you so much.
Why use? Tune in and vibe the drive. Why use? Why use? Tune in and vibe the drive. Why use? Why use? Tune in and vibe the drive. Why use? Why use? Tune in and vibe the drive.